Hey, today I'm talking about the old Earth um, theory, and more specifically, how we should understand Scripture in light of the old Earth theory, or even if Scripture permits us to hold the theory of an old Earth. There are four central questions I want to address. Why would we? Well, first of all, why would we uh, want to interpret Yom as anything other than day? Second, are there any good reasons? Like, why should we interpret Yom as anything other than day? Are we violating the text by interpreting Yom as age? And what is at stake if we interpret Yom as age? So, to answer the first question, why would we want to remain open to Yom as anything other than day? A good piece of advice comes from St. Augustine. He claims that we shouldn't hold too dogmatically to interpretations of Scripture that can be easily falsified by, I guess, scientific evidence or whatever. So, in other words, if we find conclusive evidence that the Earth is billions and billions of years old, it's not going to bother an old Earther. Basically, we want to remain open to scientific findings. We want to remain open to the possibility of progressive creation, theistic evolution, and we want to be diplomatic with those who are convinced of the Earth's old age. And so we hold our doctrine on subjects like this with a really loose grip, I guess. If that makes sense. So we want to remain open to the possibility of Yom as meaning age or span of time or whatever. So second, are there any good reasons for interpreting Yom as anything other than day? And yes, there are. Yom is used elsewhere to mean age in Psalm 90:10, so it's possible that it could mean age here. A lot of people say that it isn't likely, but it's possible. So, also, in light of the scientific uh, evidence that I'm sure my friends are going to be discussing in other videos, if that gives us good enough reason to question literal 7-day creation, then we shouldn't have a problem in re-understanding our idea of Genesis, or reinterpreting Genesis. Um, okay, next. Are we violating the text by interpreting Yom as age? And my answer to that is no. We're not violating the text, because Genesis was written as a polemical account of the creation of the universe against the Egyptian gods and idols. Moses wrote to the Israelites who were in captivity, and the point is, look, the Egyptians worshiped the sun and the moon. Our God created that in one day. Where a day does not have to be understood as 24 hours. It can be understood as just one span of time among several spans of time. It doesn't make a difference whether it was 24 hours or 48 hours or 1,000 years or 2,000 years or whatever. The point is still the same. Our God created the things that the Egyptians held as ultimate. And so our God is transcendent above all of creation, and is far above all the idols that are worshipped in the Egyptian culture. So most of what the creation account was, in my opinion, was to dispel the mythology and the false religion that was around the Israelites. So if that's the case, then we're not violating the text by understanding it as age, because day and age are relatively unimportant as far as the structure of the creation narrative. Last, is there anything at stake, or what is at stake if we interpret Yom as age? And the answer is not much. A lot of people want to say if you give up an interpretation, a literal interpretation of one section of Scripture, then you're going to you're going to give up a literal interpretation of other sections of Scripture. But that's simply untrue. So, yeah, God is still the creator of heaven and earth, and Jesus still died for us. And so, day or age doesn't really matter as far as the core of our faith. And if we have good reason to understand Scripture as saying God created in 7 spans of time, if we have good extra biblical reason, then I think that Scripture permits us to understand it in that way.